Hey everybody, today I'm going to be having a look inside of this Omnitech 10 sheet crosscut shredder. I did a video of this thing not too long ago where I was kind of hard on it. Yeah, this thing cannot shred 10 sheets half the time without jamming and overheating. But I figured, the best reviews on things like this is when you actually get to look at the internals of the unit. I got this when I was working at Staples back in the summer. I got on clearance. It was on clearance for $19.99 or $14.99, and with the employee discount I got it for even cheaper than that. Normally this thing is like $60 to $80, and at that price I would not buy this thing. No way. So anyways, let's go ahead and take the cover off and have a look inside. Yes, I did void the warranty just for you guys. Well, not just for you guys. I got plans for this thing, so. Okay, here's a look inside this unit. Now when it comes to shredders like this, and I'm talking about consumer grade personal shredders, they're all built practically the same. You have your actual shredder unit with the cutting wheels, which in this one is crosscut. You have some gear reduction, and you have this little series wound universal motor. I like to refer to these as vacuum cleaner motors, or at least the ones like this, because this one here is practically the same as what you'll find in a little stick vacuum. They're really similar, if not the same. And you have some control electronics, a switch in front of the shredder to tell it when to come on. You have a safety interlock switch there to sense when the unit is pulled off the basket. And you have a switch on the front of the unit to switch it on, off, in reverse. Now the reason why I opened this thing up, other than showing you guys the internals, was to check and see if paper was making its way into a place where it wasn't supposed to be. I saw paper going around these spots here, and I wasn't sure if that was inside the shredder or not, so I figured I'd pop it open and have a look. Now obviously if I paid full retail price for this thing, I probably wouldn't have done this, but if I was going to buy another shredder at a retail price, it would not be this one. There's one on Amazon that I would actually prefer much better. The reason why I got this one was because it was so dirt cheap on clearance at Staples. I'll get you another look here. Let me get my flashlight wherever I left it. Okay, everybody, now I got my flashlight, as you can see. Give you a better look at the motor. It's rated for 120 volts, 60 hertz. Doesn't tell you the amperage rating, which obviously on these kinds of motors, your amperage rating differs on the amount of load that's on the unit. The thing is not that old. It was manufactured in April of this year, 2014. And my biggest gripe about this shredder is it'd be the first one I've seen that does not have any sort of cooling vent on this thing. I mean, about every shredder I've come across, whether it be in a thrift store or looking at shredders online, they all had some sort of ventilation for cooling the motor. Now this motor has a little bitty fan on the front of it, which I like that. It does, it does help in a situation like this where the motor is not actually installed in a vacuum cleaner. Because in a vacuum cleaner you got plenty of air coming from the vacuum fan itself, but in a motor like this you don't have any air coming across it except for any that's made by like a little fan like this. But the problem here is when you don't have any ventilation to the outside fresh air, this thing is just moving air around and it's getting hotter and hotter, and it's just sort of like a convection oven, I guess I could say. Now the big reason why this thing can't shred 10 sheets without struggling badly is look at the size of the motor. It is not all that big. It's a bit small. Yeah, it's not big at all. Now I got another motor over here that came out of a different kind of shredder. I'm not sure the brand it came out of, but it was probably a 12 sheet. It also had a CD shredder. Now this one was made in 2005. And the reason why this thing got dismantled, I didn't dismantle it, my grandpa actually did that. The reason why he took it apart was because there was a gear that was stripped, which I'll get onto that in just a moment. But look how much bigger this motor is compared to that one. It's a huge difference. Now, we're going to just put it beside it so we can easily see. Look at the difference in size, will you? I mean, it's a huge difference. It's no wonder this thing struggles so much under light loads. I mean, this guy here has got at least, it's probably at least 50% more beef to it than that one. Now, they're the same size in regards to the width and everything. In fact, if I was to be able to cut this shaft down about half to make it the size of that one, and if I was to figure out the color codings on the wires and get them correct, because these are color coded, it's a slight bit different, this motor would work in this shredder. It would fit, it would bolt right up and work. But that might be something for a later time, maybe sometime later if this motor here ever quits. But anyways, in regards to the gear I was telling you about, a lot of shredders have issues with this gear right here, this one here, stripping out. Not the nylon, not the plastic portion of it, but the little gear down in the center. You might be able to see it. There you go. You see how much smaller the gear is on the actual crosscut shredder itself? You see how much thinner that is? I mean, it's a metal gear, and it's not that thick. And you gotta understand, this thing, that one gear there is taking the biggest amount of stress out of all these gears. Because you got this relatively low power motor, doesn't have a lot of power, but you're gearing it down. And then it's going against this gear here, so that little bitty gear there is the one that tends to strip out a lot. I've seen many videos on YouTube of people repairing these things. What they would do is they would heat this gear up and actually take the metal piece out and flip it and stick it back in, and be good for another little while. But it seems like if you was to look hard enough, you might be able to find this gear online, because it seems like every shredder has the same size of it. I mean, I'm not kidding you. It's like every shredder has nearly the same size of this gear. I've seen a video of a staple shredder being repaired that had this issue, and I've seen a video of a fellow shredder being repaired that had the same issue. Both were cheaper end consumer grade shredders like this. So I figure before I wrap up this video, I will go ahead and pull this out and let you see the other side of it. Okay, everybody, now I got this thing torn apart completely. Got the shredder unit, the gearing, and the motor sitting there. There's the electronics, not much to it. You got your paper switch there, and the interlock switch is down there. I'd say it's a relatively simple design. I mean, there's some shredders out there that have logic boards with a lot more complicated stuff on them, whereas this one here is relatively simple. It doesn't even have an IC on there anywhere. It's just, you got some resistors, some diodes, a couple of capacitors, a transistor, and a relay for the motor. That's practically it. And for reverse, I believe that's actually built into the switch itself. Yeah, reverse is. Now, amazingly, you know, guys, what's funny here is, some shredders, the logic boards have a step-down transformer to step down the AC to run the LED, but I'm looking at this and I'm seeing none of that. It's just, what they have done here is they have used probably these big guys here, these two resistors here. They probably stepped down the high voltage AC through these two resistors down to a very low voltage for the transistor, the LED, and that kind of stuff to run on. So you got to think about it. Whatever doesn't get used to here gets wasted to the resistor. That's great to know. But it's a very, very, very simple design. Obviously, a cheaper instrument like this would have that. But on the flip side, that makes it less complicated to troubleshoot if something goes wrong. And I'll be sure to include some pictures after this video so that way you can get a better look at some things if you like. Okay, but after you guys probably want to see the end result of the modification. Anyways, here it is. Got it back together. Got it plugged in. You can see there's a vent there. Basically what I did is I took the bottom piece off of a laptop, an older laptop that was scrapped. You know, the door that goes over the RAM or the hard disk has a little vent on it. What I did is I took all the mesh and stuff out of the inside of it and cut it down to size. And basically I made a hole inside the cover. And I hot glued this to the outside of it to give it a sort of a vent. I don't leave it open and exposed like that. So anyways, it looks clean, looks good. And I think it'll serve its purpose. So after just for you guys, I'll go ahead and shred a couple of sheets of paper with it so that way you can see it run. And obviously that's one thing about tying one cable sometimes. Anyways, let's go ahead and shred some sheets. And the funny thing is, you can actually, if you look carefully in there, you can actually see the commutator sparking a little bit, which is normal for these motors. So yeah, it's a little bit louder. I can't say if it's louder or not, but the motor is now getting some fresh air, so that's a good thing. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Any questions or comments? Feel free to ask, and thanks for watching.